What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another trout fishing tips video here at the channel. Today we're going to go through the top 5 trout fishing spinner tips to help you hook and land more trout using this versatile hardware bait. So coming in at my number 5 trout fishing tips with spinners is to change up speeds. And here's what I mean by changing up speeds. Now when you're fishing spinners in lakes, creeks, ponds, little streams, rivers, what you're gonna find is your retrieval speed will have a huge impact on whether the trout are gonna bite or not bite your spinner. Some days it's gonna be a very fast retrieve. Some days it's gonna be a very slow retrieve. Some days it's gonna be in between. Some days you're gonna cast out the spinner, let it drop for a few seconds, get a little bit farther down in the water column, and then you're gonna reel in with different speeds to try to find where the trout are in the water column with your spinners. And once you find that, stick with that program. After you cast out, count 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, and then start reeling in. Reel in at different speeds. And when you find that right combination of speed, how long you're gonna let the spinner drop in the water column will really help you dictate and find those trout over and over again. Now, my number 4 tip with spinners is anytime you're seeing trout surface or you're seeing a lot of trout go after bugs, say in the late spring or the summer, they're going after nymphs or different bugs and creatures around the top of the water, it's time to get out the spinner and do a lot of spinner fishing. And here's why. When you know the trout are close to the top of the water or on the surface or they're busting bugs on the top, grab the spinners out and start hucking those. But as soon as it hits the water, start retrieving it so you get a little bit of that flow and that sputter of the blade on the top or near the top of the water, and the trout will think it looks like a bug or is something that they're gonna really wanna go after. When those trout are super hungry and they're surfacing and they're biting flies, spinners like these rooster tails from Yakima Bait with the little bit of the rooster tail fly here can imitate and be like bugs on the surface that the trout are going after. So grab your spinners and you would not imagine how many hookups you might get in an hour or even 30 minutes. You might even get 5 fish back to back to back casts. So if you see trout surfacing, grab some spinners immediately. Now my number 3 tip with fishing with spinners is to make sure you got different sizes, different weights, and different varieties and brands of different spinners. When I'm out fishing with spinners, I carry no less than at least 3 or 4 different brands of spinners, from Blue Foxes to Yakima Bait Rooster Tails to Panther Martins are my top 3. And I've got those in different colors and sizes with me at all times. In fact, I probably got 20 to 30 spinners with me for trout fishing at all times because I just like to have variety, different size weights, different size colors, different natural color blades like silver, gold, or black, maybe something that's super pink. And I just love to have that variety because every time you go fish a body of water, you never know what that one color might be that the trout are really keen on. I've had days in the fall where the pink is money. I've had days in the spring where the black with the silver blade was just crushing it and I only had one of those and then I lost it and I lost the bite that day. You may find that gold's the only color. So you'll be able to focus in and find where the trout are, and once you hook up with a spinner to continue to use that or find a pattern of what colors or what color blades might be working really, really well. Now my number 2 tip is to use 10-pound braided line with the rod and reel that you're gonna use for casting spinners for chasing trout. And here's why. 10-pound braided line is perfect because it allows you to have a nice smooth cast when you're talking about spinners. There's something about the 10-pound braided line coming through the eyelets and coming off that reel that makes it super smooth. You're able to cast it a lot farther than 6 and 8 pounds, and it's not clunky like 15 or 20-pound braided where you can get tangles and twists and other things like that in the line. And I've been going with this 10-pound Berkeley green line for a couple years with my casting rod when we're talking about spinners. And it's also really, really good because it has less resistance, and with an ultra light rod like I've got here, you're gonna feel that spinner bite and it's gonna be boom, and you're gonna be able to set the hook a lot easier. If you're going with mono or fluorocarbon or a stiffer rod, this is where you're gonna have troubles of maybe feeling that bite where sometimes there might be a short strike and you might not set the hook in time. But with this braided line and the ultralight rod, that sensitivity, you're gonna be able to feel that bite really, really easily. You're gonna be able to set the hook, and that's gonna increase your hookup and your land ratio because you're gonna be able to get that hook in the side of the trout's lip a lot easier than if you had something that was a little bit less sensitive of a line that wasn't that 10 pound, you're just not gonna get as many hookups and as many fish to the bank or the net than you would if you used 10-pound braid. And my number one tip for fishing with spinners is to actually add some weight to them, actually a sliding weight to be able to cast your spinners farther, especially your lighter weighted spinners. Here's why this is the number one tip. When you've got bigger spinners like a 1/4 ounce or bigger, you're gonna be able to cast those spinners way farther out. And what I've got here in this pink one is a 1/4 ounce spinner, and I'm able to cast that pretty far, especially in conditions that are light wind or no wind. But a lot of times you get spinners that are an 1/8 of an ounce, a 1/6 of an ounce, or even lighter, down to like say a 1/16 of an ounce. And what you'll find is you can't cast those as far as the bigger spinners. Even with 10-pound braided line, even with a nice ultralight rod, you're just not able to cast those spinners as farther out. And this was actually a tip that was shared with me by Cody Herman of Day One Outdoors. I have a link in the description below to Cody's channel. He's a super nice guy. He's one of the most renowned guys in the Northwest, and he shared this tip a while back, which is to add a little bullet sinker weight with a little bead above the swivel here on those lighter weighted spinners. And with this additional weight, you're able to cast those smaller spinners out, because there's gonna be instances where the fish don't want this big, janky 1/4 ounce spinner. They want something that's gonna be smaller, especially those smaller stock trout, the trout earlier in the season, not during the summer where they're a little bit bigger and they're going after bigger baits. If the fish and the trout are only going after those smaller baits, you need to use smaller spinners. But in order to cast them out farther or into the strike zone that you're looking for, you may consider adding some weight to your setup here to help you catch more trout. So I would recommend, if you're fishing lighter spinners, add a little bullet weight, add a little bead right above the swivel, give yourself a couple feet of leader line between the swivel and the spinner, and I guarantee you will start to see the results, and you'll start to see more hookups and catch more trout than ever before. And that's my top 5 trout fishing tips video for spinners. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you guys got some info out of this to use the next time you hit the water fishing with spinners. I love spinner fishing because you're able to cover a lot of ground, and those bites on the spinners are just amazing. Having the rod in your hand and be able to feel that is one of my favorite trout bites. So hit that like button, subscribe if you love trout fishing, fishing, and other outdoor content. And as always, guys, the outdoors is a gift. Share it with others.